Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with a tale of two salts. That's right, remember that time you made that online recipe because everybody was raving about how great it was? But then you made it and it was way too salty? So you got back online and posted that angry 1-star review? Where you actually said I would have gave it 0 stars, but they wouldn't let me. I had to give it at least 1. Well, I think this video is going to help explain what happened, as we're about to review the 2 most commonly used types of salt in the kitchen and why they're often not interchangeable. So let's go ahead and get started by taking a look at the 2 salts in question. On the left, we have your basic fine table salts. This would be your most common type, and what you would find in probably 95% of the salt shakers in the country. And then on the right here, we have what's called kosher salt, which of course you see me using all the time in these videos. So let's go ahead and sprinkle down a little of each, and then go in for a closer look. And as we zoom in here, you should be able to see the major difference. And I really do wish I had one of those electron microscopes to show you this comparison. But those things are like $1 million, plus where would I keep it? But even with a slight magnification here, you can really see there's a difference. Alright, the kosher salt on the right has much larger, much lighter, much flakier crystals. Whereas the crystals for our fine table salt are much smaller and much more uniformly sized. So while these do look sort of the same from across the table, when it comes to the actual grains of salt, as you can see, they are quite different. And here's why that matters so much. Let's just say you got a brine or a marinade recipe from a chef like me, and I told you needed a 1/4 cup of kosher salt, which by weight would be, after I zero out the weight of the cup here, looks to be about 39 grams, okay? So basically, as the creator of that recipe, I wanted you to add 39 grams of salt, which apparently, according to this experiment, is what a 1/4 cup of salt weighs. But that's not what you do. You're like, hey, I'm a Buddhist. I do not need to use kosher salt. I will simply use a 1/4 cup of this fine table salt, which I'm sure is exactly the same. Well, not exactly. Check it out. A 1/4 cup of the fine table salt weighs 76 grams, which is like almost twice as much salt as I actually want you to add. So while it is true you did measure exactly correct, and that is a 1/4 cup of salt, it's a 1/4 cup of fine salt, not a 1/4 cup of kosher salt. And that right there, my friends, explains about 95% of the salt-related arguments on the internet. Alcohol accounts for the other 5%. So you really do need to pay attention to which type of salt is called for. So that's the bad news. Now here's the good news. Most of the time it doesn't matter, because the vast majority of recipes, the salt should always be added to taste. Okay, I don't care how much salt that soup or stew or sauce calls for. I'm not adding all that in. I might add a little, but I'm going to taste as I go and add more if needed. This way we don't have to worry about the weights or the measurements or anything. We are simply seasoning with the salt of our choice until we're happy with how it tastes. Okay, where we get into trouble is things like brines and marinades and baked products, where we can't season the taste as we go and we have to sort of rely on the measurement. That's when understanding the difference between these 2 salts really comes into play. But anyway, that's it, a tale of 2 salts. That was part 1 where we deal with the amounts. Now we can move into part 2, how the different salts taste. And let me begin that by saying all salts taste the same. In fact, let me end by saying all salts taste the same. Whether you're going to use a fine table salt, or a kosher salt, or a pink Himalayan salt, or a super expensive French fleur-de-sel sea salt, your final product will taste exactly the same. So really, which ones you buy is up to you. You are the Charles Dickens of salt pickings. But bottom line, there's absolutely no practical difference between the flavors of the salts. And so concludes part 2. So anyway, I do hope some of you found this info useful, and maybe it helped explain a few salt mysteries from your past. So head over to foodwishes.com. There's no ingredient amounts, but there is going to be a lot more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.